Tonight's our first ever sprint prep session. Were you ladies able to either print off the sprint worksheet or were you able to at least have it on your computer? Way to go, Miss Kim. Good job, good job. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about first walk you guys through sprints, but kind of in a more visionary, big picture way, because I think that will be the best way to maybe learn sprints. And then from this, after tonight, bring a project, bring something that you would like to sprint. Or if you feel like, I know Michelle's done sprints with me before. If you feel like sprints, then you don't have to do this tonight. But I thought it would be fun to talk about 10-year visions together, because that's a little bit of a scary thing when I sat down and figured out how old will I be in 10 years. Like, wow, 10 years from now, I'll be 47. What does 47 look like to me? I'll have a 25-year-old and a 22-year-old. Like, it just seems crazy to me of like how far in the future, how short of time, but how long of time that really is. And to think about your business in a 10-year type of mindset. So I don't know if any of you ladies saw today, I did post my 10-year sprint on my business page. So I kind of wanted to just talk about it and help you ladies kind of discuss, have you ever sat and done a 10-year vision, first and foremost, and if, how you feel about that. The sheet is in the event for tonight. Hi, Kelly. I can post the link. Let me go and get it for you, Michelle. Here's a link for the worksheet. Okay. Hi, Angie.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. It's bath time, so I'm going to be
in and out. It's okay. That's all right. That's okay. So we're basically tonight, because I want us to first, learn sprints, but talk about sprints in a lot of different ways on these calls. So sprints originally, if you've been to the workshop at all, if not, Daylight Savings Challenge is completely okay. Okay, Kelly, no problem. You can put in the comments. I can look for that. Sprints are really a project management program. It's a system for you to be able to, and I know Michelle Railford, she knows sprints pretty well with her job. It's basically, you pick a project, you break it down. It helps you to see that your goal is really to complete all the tasks, not necessarily for that end number or for kind of that end reward. It's that if I complete all these tasks, then the momentum will get me to where I want to go. So it helps you shift your mindset, especially as an entrepreneur, from what I've found, from kind of always looking at like, what is my number? Not that we don't need to know our numbers. And I feel like doing sprints has also helped me pay more attention to my numbers, but in a healthy way. And so that's why I thought all of us are work at home women. Some of us do have day jobs, but for the most part, we're solo entrepreneurs. And understanding and learning how to complete a task through all the steps, not just the steps we like, is really important to keep your business building momentum and bringing in business and bringing in new customers. So that's why I decided sprints were really important. When I started implementing sprints into my work at home business, I noticed I was happier. I felt like Mondays were better because I had a plan. So that's why I'm sharing these with you guys. Why I think they're going to be really important for you to just see your growth and to look back and say, like, I did this. So tonight we're going to be making a sprint very specifically for a 10-year vision so that you can look at a sprint on a very broad scale. And that can be hard. I picked something intentionally difficult because sprints are something where if you can pick something really small and it can turn into something really big. And after this morning, when I sat down and did my 10-year vision, and I was like, wait, there is a rating system for sprints, and the highest level is 8. I've been using a rating of 8 for some of my projects and realizing, no, wait, 10 years is a really long time. I probably should rate this an 8 and now look at my regular projects that are just a little bit meatier and bigger as 5s. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But anybody who's thought about, like, in 10 years from now, where, nope, you didn't miss much of anything, hon, you're good. Anybody have any ideas about where they want their business to be in 10 years? Feel free to go off of mute and just share. Retired. So that's where, Michelle, I like, because this was a pretty big deal for me to think about 10 years from now. What does retired mean, Michelle?
Not doing all the services that I'm doing anymore, just doing celebrity house calls and doing something probably totally different.
Okay, so that's where, like, the end product, the end ask would be that retirement looks like this to me. So I want you to kind of, I feel like that's the area whenever someone's ever asked me, like, oh, set your 10-year vision or your 10-year plan, like, we get really vague because we're not quite sure of, like, what does 10 years look like, right, ahead. We're not sure what that will look like. But the point is that you're saying to yourself, like, this is what it's going to look like for me. It might look a little bit off of that in reality, but in the ideal 10-year vision, we are on the first sheet, Gina. Yes. We're not even on the sheet yet. We're kind of just, we're discussing. So we're talking about the 10-year vision. So the 10-year vision is going to be the end ask, the product portion on the worksheet. Okay. So Michelle, definitely put retirement, but then kind of give yourself a little bit more of a visual of what that looks like for you. So that
probably just retired from the physical location.
Okay. So more of like you no longer have your brick and mortar business and you're working with very specific clients.
Yes. Or I open up a different brick and mortar, like a tea house.
Okay. So that's where, like, you kind of, and I think one of the reasons why I felt like this was really important to share with all you ladies is something you're going to find in this group is I'm going to be sharing things that I'm learning as I go, because I think that that's super important, that you know that this isn't like I'm not the master of these things. I'm learning as well. And the one thing that I've really noticed lately about myself, but also working with some clients and other entrepreneurs, is that we have a really hard time focusing on one thing. A really hard time. Because there's so many amazing things for us to do. And I'm not just saying like FOMO or squirreling or shiny object. I mean, so many amazing things for us to do within what we do. And so helping you understand this is what I want and what is the one thing that I can focus on that is, and I'm taking this from a book, and Angie, you probably read this, The One Thing. Did you read The One Thing? Where he says in the book about where that one thing, if you take that one thing, by doing it, it kind of makes everything else obsolete. Like, you don't have to do those other things. And really deciding what is my one thing. So your 10-year vision, I want us all to really think about, in 10 years from now, where do I want to be? And if we don't get that, every sprint after this is going to kind of just have you spinning your wheels. It's going to have you doing a bunch of things, but are those things moving you towards that one thing that's most important to you, which is a 10-year vision of where will you be? So anybody else want to share, like if they've thought about where they will be in 10 years or where they want their business to be in 10 years? I know some of you have just started, but like Angie, you just started doing. So it can probably be really difficult for you to be like 10 years. I just walked off the boat.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually put it in terms of how old my kids would be.
Mm-hmm.
So, Madeline would be 23, which is crazy to me, and Caroline would be 18, almost 19. So we would be empty nesters.
Yeah, and that kind of helped me as well. Like if you have children, I feel like that was something for me that I like when I figured out how old Isabella and Dennis would be. I was like, whoa, they're in college, or she'll be almost out of college.
Right.
I put how many years would I be married by that point? Wow. Like how many, I'd be married 25 years. So like, what would I want to be doing on my 25th wedding anniversary? So thinking about those things, Kim has, I want to have a team large enough that I can do the bare minimum and live off their work. I love you, Kim. Thanks for being so on. You're the best. I love you so much. So like, I think that is like a straight answer, right, Kim? I mean, if you want to be at this place where you're like, I have, and what that means really is that you have leadership within that team that has taken that reins from you.
Right.
And you're doing what is your core responsibilities, but they're leading as well. So I would definitely put that into your 10-year vision, that you have a team large enough with leaders with strengths to help you lead in that way, so that you're doing the minimum of what your skill set is, and that you're receiving those rewards. I love that. Kelly has 10 years teaching art full time. Will photograph for fine arts and enjoyment, not so much for income. Got ya. Maybe have an exhibit at a museum of modern arts. I love that. So Kelly, I think that that's something where you have a lot of detail in there. I would definitely add a little bit more into what does that teaching art full-time position look like? Because teaching art full-time at a school that you don't like, like you have to think about all of the pieces of like what would really make you feel really good in that 10-year space. So this is going to be a little bit of a larger sprint as far as putting details in. So when you write in the end, ask the product area, your 10-year vision, I want you to be as detailed as possible with it. Okay. After you do that portion, and Michelle, I hope that you're with us. I didn't hear that you have, you didn't put anything in the comments. Michelle R. I'm going to show Michelle B, Michelle R.
Yeah.
Do you have
I'm doing audio
vision?
so.
Do you have a 10-year vision for 31 or for your chicken farm? I know you want that.
I think my 10-year vision probably does not include 31.
Okay.
My goal is the chicken farm event venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 31 right now is just kind of getting me some business skills and some play money, and
Gotcha.
I don't know if I really see it in 10 years.
Right. So I would really get into like, what does that chicken farm look like? How many chickens does that entail? Right? Because some chicken farms it goes by numbers, or like what type of chicken farm. So being really specific there, and then like your venue. What does that life entail of you running that venue and having the chicken farm in 10 years? So really listen it down. And I love that, Michelle, that you see 31 being a stepping stone towards this bigger vision, this bigger dream. So I would definitely put some more details in that. What about you, Gina? And I know you just stuck food in your mouth. Have you thought a little bit? I know like we have 2 kids that are around the same age, so you'll have 2 kids that are out of the house and 2 kids still in the house. So in 10 years, where do you see yourself?
I would say, well, my youngest will be 14
Mm-hmm.
for last month. So, and I'll only be 43. So it's not like I'll be at the retirement age.
Right. No.
So,
But what does your goal or your dreams, like, do you have dreams do you want to be a leader in Premier by that point? Do you want to do more with your marketing background?
I would say marketing. I would say, and hopefully Premier will be in it. But I don't know. I can't really think that far out. Like,
It's difficult.
Type person.
It's difficult. I struggled with it for a really long time. So girls, I'm presenting this to you because I want you to get in the mindset of, like, there is something in the future, because usually you're going to be thinking in the 2-week future or the month future or the 3-month future, or the year. Okay. But if we can start with the 10-year, that's really difficult to envision that. It's going to make all the rest of your sprints easier. So Gina, I would definitely just write down some things in that area. Okay. Marketing. I want Premier to be a part of that. Where do I envision myself as a mother? Maybe.
I know, honestly, like, a dream that I've had since I was little, like when I was going to college and stuff like that, was owning my own dance club. Michelle. And I've always dreamed about it, but with having small kids and, the bar scene is just not an option right now. So honestly, I would love to see that as an option.
Then write it. I want you to write these. Like, I feel like this was the one thing for me just recently that I've realized. Why do we stop dreaming? Why do we stop?
Bar and kids do not work.
No. Well, and it doesn't have to be a bar.
And yes, I would have other.
In general, why do people stop dreaming?
Well, it's always I still dream about owning my own dance club.
Yeah.
Bar.
So I would put it down. Gina. I think it's a valid dream, and
That's what it's called, the G spot.
Because they
Gina.
believe it's unreal.
Oh, girl. I love it. Look at Michelle. Awesome. I want you to write it down.
Okay.
So
I don't think she's talking about a bar.
Talking about a bar.
Oh, yes, I am recording them. So everybody know, I want to do this too, because you ladies, I want to build this community of women who don't allow each other to back down from their 10-year. All right. Even if we feel like it's not a reality at this point. Like for Michelle, she's doing 31, she's working a full-time job. The chicken farm and the venue might feel really far away, but I want you all to think about the fact that it isn't that far away. All right. And it's just a matter of what actions and what steps do we need to take to get each other there. Kim, it's not too late. You will be here at 62. Please stop. We want to ensure that we're supporting and lifting each other up in that manner. And being positive about that. So your 10-year, be as detailed as possible with the end ask and the product. After you do that piece, and this is where you can see on my paper, from here to here, I wrote down all the reasons why that 10-year matters to me. All right. So for Michelle Baus, if you're saying to yourself, it matters to you to not have the brick and mortar that you have now, but to transition, that you feel God is leading you to another place, then writing that down in the moment that you feel God is leading you to another place, that is a reason why. I feel like what these reasons why are going to help me with, especially, is when I feel like my 10-year is so far away and I'm I'm Angie and I were in the moments of being mothers, we have teenage kids and it seems like, why am I even trying? Because we're in the middle of, all the fun. When I look back at this and see the reasons why, that is the reason why. Because I am a mom of teenagers, because I am going to be at some point, not the mom of teenagers, but the mom of adults, right? This 10-year vision doesn't only, I am doing it, and I want everybody to hear this. You are doing it for you. So for those of us that are moms, for those of us are wives, you got to do it for you first. I used to be in the mentality like I had to do everything for my kids. The reasons why I did it was because I wanted them to have more. But I will tell you that you will see blessings come to you when you listen to what I believe God's put on your spirit to pursue. And then that sprinkles out to, that gratitude reciprocates itself because you're giving of yourself to others. So really write down why. So like I have, because more women deserve this type of freedom. That was part of mine. Because life without creativity and purpose is no life to live. So really writing down, I put down the recognition will help my family. I think about Isabella and the fact that there's going to definitely be a need for her to be in the public eye. And having a good name behind her. Maybe I have, because working from home is the future of careers. I firmly believe that more people are going to work from home because look at what we're doing right now. Look at the access we have to each other. I believe education brings opportunities. So teaching more women how to do sales and how to build businesses, I believe it's going to bring more women opportunities because it's educating. So kind of narrow some of those down. And if anybody wants to share one of their reasons why, I would love for you to share one of your reasons why you want this. Gina, why do you want to open the G spot? Why does it matter to you? You can unmute.
Love to dance.
Because I love to dance.
Because you love to dance.
And I love to be at the bar and drink.
Stop.
No, but I do like to go out every now and then, and I just love to dance.
I know you like Gina's very extroverted, so I know Gina loves to be around people. She loves to be around.
Flies.
Yeah.
Especially bar.
Awesome. Yeah. So why else does it matter? What would it change? Michelle, what would it do if you were able to, Michelle Baus, what would it do if you were able to open a tea house or only work with celebrity clients?
I feel like, well, for me, it would be working smarter and working physically less. That is one thing that definitely has to change for just reasons, lots of physical reasons. But it would allow me to do ministry work in different areas. So I feel like it would be a way to touch more people in different walks of life or through a different avenue. And then selfishly, it would allow me more time and more money to do things that I want to do for me time, like dance.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
But it still needs, you need to really think about it. I mean, it's hard to just.
Yeah. No, I don't think tonight you're not going to get everything down tonight. This is one where I figured this is our first week. So I wanted one that you could sit with for the week. And what I think is going to happen from this is projects are going to stem from this 10-year vision. All right, you're going to see things come out of this that now can start becoming the projects that are moving you towards this 10-year vision, this 10-year sprint. Kim, what about you? What are some reasons why? Why do you want that big team so that you have good leaders? What's the reasoning behind it?
Selfishly, it's
Not being selfish.
well, no, but my husband has worked forever, and he did 23 years in the military, and he's still working now. So I would like us to be able to spend whatever quality time we can together and let him he'll be 65 at the time. I don't want him to have to worry about, finances or,
Right.
I want us to be able to spend whatever quality time we have left
I love that. I think
together.
the one thing that I would love, I don't know if anybody has read this article, and I'll have to go and find it and post it in the group, but a few weeks ago there was a blog post about how changing your mindset to money, like money is freedom. So every time you're thinking about money, to change the word money to freedom. So how am I spending my freedom? How am I earning my freedom? How am I sharing my freedom? And like really thinking about money as freedom. So make sure that in your whys that you're thinking about the money equals freedoms equation. Because like for Michelle R., like if 31 is like your side hustle right now, it's the thing that you're like hoping will build up the income and the investment and the support of this other dream, then thinking about the fact that the money I earn with 31 is providing me the opportunity to have freedom to go and do what I want to do. That's a whole different way of looking at it than being like, oh, I need 5 parties this month. Like it's a whole other way of like, if I do those 5 parties, I'm getting freedom to buy some chickens or to buy a house or to go and look at venues, like it's a whole different way of looking at it. Michelle, do you have any, I know I just picked you, but like Michelle R., do you have any like whys that you were thinking about? She just went off. She might have needed to get the kids. Little guy.
I'm here.
Oh.
I'm going between the app and my phone.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Having technical difficulties today.
Okay.
So at this point, my why for 31 is to be able to give back to my community. Just with Dad's cancer and everything, I was like struggling to figure out like why am I investing my time in 31 when I could be doing some other things. And so that's my why right now. So it's doing like the Shriner Easter baskets and things like that. So in a way, it's getting my name out into the community more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's like keeping my sanity right now.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I think that if you can look at it, like I would definitely for you, Michelle, I would be narrowing in specifically on what your day job is providing and what 31 is providing. And if 31 is providing the networking piece of the puzzle for this future 10-year vision, it's just important for you that if that's your 10-year vision, that you're noticing like where are the other pieces of that puzzle going to come from? Where is the investment going to come from for that? And thinking about those things, because that's the hard thing that I'm going to press you ladies on. It's something that I've had to really press myself and be very realistic about is like, businesses take money and they take investment. So thinking about where are these different pieces of the puzzle coming from and what's the most important one right now for me. And so Michelle, right now, for your season of life, for what's all going on with you, hon, it probably is that networking piece. It probably is getting out in the community and having that type of networking and community surrounding you too. So you can start building those relationships that are going to be the very key important relationships for that business. So I love that. Angie or Kelly, do you guys have any whys that you'd like to share for your 10-year?
I mean, I think for me, it's, with genealogy and family history, I just really feel like, it's what I was put here to do and what I was put here to share. That I have, a valid voice in that. And It sounds very simplistic, but yeah.
No, I think that that's so good. Angie, the fact that you know your purpose, like think how many people go their whole life not knowing that.
Right.
And so like I really want, I mean, that's one of mine because this is my purpose.
Yeah.
This is the
I mean,
reason I was
like,
put here.
going to that conference, it totally affirmed that. I was like,
I love that. That's
these
awesome.
are my people, and this is where I'm supposed to be. Like,
Right.
I felt so at home in that environment, and just so excited about like everything and anything. I mean, and I could even like imagine myself maybe one day I will speak here, or and just certain like putting myself, like kind of putting that projection out there of different imagining.
Yes, I love it. So I want you to think on the business end, but then I also want you to think on the very realistic of what happens. Like, why would you want to do this for those other influences you have in your life? So like I was saying, things that were going to affect my kids, like Kim saying, her husband, like how is that, would that transform his life and their life? Because I want to travel with my best friend internationally more. That's like another reason. So get as deep and as selfish as you want here. To me, there is no such thing as selfish when it is you're driving towards your purpose, because no matter what faith you believe, I don't believe that there would be a God that would tell you that you shouldn't want more of what he put you here for.
Right.
And so as women, I think like that's the one thing that we do come up against a lot, is we feel like we're being selfish for something that in actually all essences isn't going to harm anyone. It's only going to help more. So, really think about your reasons why. And again, the reason we do the why after the end product or the ask is because we want to remind ourselves not of what the end product is going to be, but before we start writing down all the steps, we want to know the reasons why we're even going to take the time to write down all the steps to do this, right? Because if we can't think of a reason why, then it probably isn't a valid step to take. And so the next part is the breakdown. So I don't know if anybody wants to share, like, what would be something that you would need to do. And I just saw Angie's. I saw Kelly's. I'll read hers in a second. I would like you to share like one step that you feel you need to take over the next, couple of years that you would need to do for this 10-year goal. Kelly wrote, what Angie just said started an audible book called A Voice in the Wind on my Amazon, and I just had to scream at her to stop reading a book. For your family, you want to have a job that is secured, want to enjoy doing your art again. Yeah, I think that's really huge too. I think that if there's something, I just said this the other day, and this is why Michelle Baus and I actually had this talk a while back when you started dancing. I said, don't make it a business. Don't make it about business, because it brought her joy. And I think there are some things that you can do as a business, and it's okay because it brings you joy and you can do it as a business, and that whole essence doesn't unbalance it. But there are some things that it completely unbalances it. So really think about that as well in your steps. But I love that, Kelly. I know for me, it was sewing. Like when I started sewing as a business, I was like, all right, this isn't joyful anymore. This isn't my purpose. My purpose wasn't to sew. God gave me the gift of sewing to be a joy, not a purpose-driven thing. And so photography brought you joy, in the beginning, and lost the balance with the business. I want to bring back the joy. I love that, Kelly. All right, so what about some steps? I'm going to ask Michelle, since Michelle Baus is up in the corner, I'll kind of go across. Do you have any steps that you would want to take?
Well, I think I'm starting by getting more higher end clients that want house calls. So start leading the way so that starts happening.
Yep. So that's definitely one step is I want higher end clients with house calls.
Mm-hmm.
And so right there, and this is where you're going to see the different steps you start doing for this 10-year are going to be a sprint project in themselves. So if you wanted to take that, I want more private clients, high end, you could go and now say that's my end product, my ask. Why do I want that? Now I'm going to break that down. So that's why this one is kind of important, because you're moving towards all those things by what you're going to do your breakdown for. Is there any other breakdowns, Michelle, that you thought of?
I agree with Gina. It's really hard for me to think 10 years out because I just really go with, you know me, it's like I have 50,000 ideas and then I just really let this, you know, the Lord guide me. So it may change. But I think with the aromatherapy, you know, starting the classes, I think that that's going to open up a different world. And maybe that would be like an online retail business or I feel like there's, you know, we've talked about this. I feel like there's something there. So maybe in my new business, it's a virtual or a blending bar or something like that. But I've already started doing the classes regularly and taking the baby steps and finishing my certification, all that stuff. So I think that that's also leading into that direction.
Right. And Michelle, I get you because you know, like and I think all of us, I mean, if I asked everybody here to raise their hand, if they weren't nervous and thinking 10 years in the future, we would all raise our hands, I'm sure, thinking about what life looks like and all the decisions that happen up until that point. And you don't know what life circumstances are going to happen and all of those things. There's so many unknowns. And especially if you do have faith, you do have faith in your future of whatever has been the destined path, right? But I want to remind us all, no matter what your faith is, we have free will. And so I think I believe that free will is there because that's allowed for you to direct your path a little bit. So as long as, like I said, you know in the future that the future that you want is good, then knowing a little bit of the breakdowns are going to help you direct that path towards that good. So I get the nerves because when the first time anyone ever asked me to think about a 10-year vision, I was like, I can't even get through a week. How are you asking me to think about 10 years?
Well, it's that whole question, like you're on an interview and they say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you're like, well, I can maybe fake that answer. And then they're like, okay, where do you see yourself in 10? And you're just like, deer in the headlights, especially like in your 20s and 30s. It's just like, I don't know, alive, working somewhere, married. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I'm not really a planner. So that, like, I'm not really a planner. I have to.
And I have to tell you that I really was not a planner either. Like I think Gina might know me. Gina knows me more than all of you ladies from like before this world of being online entrepreneur. But I will tell you, I don't look at it anymore as far as a plan. I look at it as being prepared. And so to me, when I hear those two different things, like a plan is like I'm stuck in a structure. I'm stuck in this. There's no way that I can get out of this box that has been laid out for me. When I think about being prepared, I think, oh, well, if I was going on a camping trip with all of you, I would want to make sure I had a tent. I would want to make sure that I had s'mores packed. Like, that's the prepared part for me. So what I want us to think about when we're doing sprints is that we're preparing ourselves for that end ask. It's not that we're saying that everything that we lay out, because how many times have you forgot the marshmallow sticks when you've gone camping and then you had to go walk in the woods and make sticks yourself? Like that's the reality of life. You're never going to have it completely planned out. So I hope that helps, Michelle, because I get it. Kim, what about you? Do you have any like break down steps towards your team and how you would create that?
Well, I was just writing that I need to build the confidence to offer the opportunity to people
So
more
knowing,
often.
yeah. So knowing that, look, I need to recruit and I need to have more people join my team. And when I'm looking for those people, I need to be looking for people who desire leadership or are looking to create a business or looking to, in your case, empower other women through, situations in their life that they feel like maybe they are trapped. So I think, there's definitely, if you can narrow that down, Kim, so you have a real clear vision, that's where you'll feel confident, is if you have a clear vision of who are you looking for. I love that one. And that's a sprint in itself of like, okay, I'm going to focus on recruiting. What about you, Angie? Do you have a step?
One I've always have is my website. It definitely needs, I feel like my husband and I are just kind of trying to figure it out right now. And I've always felt like it needs to be better, just overhauled. So that's always in the plans. It's not the biggest priority because we have it so it works okay right now, but it's not as I envision it. But I really don't see that I can do it the way that I want to until I have all of her diaries in there, and that won't happen until let's see, we're up to 1937, so we got 2 more years.
So you know that a rehaul of your website is at least on the sprint backlog for 2 years.
Right.
So that brings up a great point of view, is when you start writing down all these steps that are going to get you to this 10-year, eventually you do need to prioritize them, and you need to say to yourself, and that's where some might show you a clear, like, that can't happen until this happens.
Right.
And so understanding those things and looking for those things, I've always struggled, and I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who struggled. I've always struggled with, like, what is the right decision? If I do this, is this the right decision that's going to end up creating the right outcome? And so that can sometimes feel like distrusting the outcome. But to me, I always, like, I have all these great things. That's kind of where I lean into, like, oh, all these things are great. How do I choose the right one? But looking at maybe, if by doing something else, is that going to make this next thing easier? So already, Angie, that her diaries have to be on this website to make it easier for you to go and do that rehaul.
Right.
So you know that that's not going to be something that you prioritize right now.
Right.
So that's really good, because prioritizing them is really good. Thank you, Gina, for saying that I'm good at planning stuff. Yes, the Women Empowerment event. I am the event planning. So Michelle gets this. All right. Michelle Rayford gets this with event planning. You never know how an event is going to end up. You hope and you pray that you prepared all the steps, that you have everyone ready to do their job, right? And so that's the whole point behind sprints as well for your business, is that you are laying out the steps so that I need to complete all these steps. So hopefully by the time I get to the end of these 2 weeks, or by the end of this month, or by the end of the quarter, or by 10 years from now, I've aligned whatever I could do on my end. You don't have control of anything else, but especially if there's a bride involved, you definitely don't have control of everything else. What about you, Gina? Do you have any steps that you would want to take towards yours? I know this is pushing Gina way out of her box. Gina and I have talked about this before.
I'm telling you, Jenna, I could dream, but I cannot. Whatever happens, happens. Like how you even said, thinking of oh, should I do this? Like, that's how I felt when I re-signed up with Premier. Should I do this again?
Mm-hmm. And so I want you to start getting really confident in knowing that you already know the answer. That's what this community is for. Like in weeks ahead for this, I definitely want us to be talking more. It won't be me leading. We're just really learning the structure, and sharing. Like I'm doing this breakdown, and here's what I have. You can get feedback on what your decisions would be, but if you really truly know what your end goal is or your end product is in mind, then prioritizing those steps is actually what other people are there to help you with. But you can usually figure out what those steps are. So, like your goal with Premiere, Gina, is it to host parties? Is it to just make extra money? You kind of have to know what your plan is for why you did it.
Multiple reasons why I did it. Like I love Premiere. I love everything like founded by Premiere, what they're based on. To get it alone, if I do host events like in other people's homes, just to get away and be with other women. And extra money to obviously help with bills, but
so is it something, and then this is where I want us to all feel really okay, if there's something you want to do that's just for fun, like it's completely okay if it's just for fun, and if extra money comes from that, great. That's all right. I think there's so much pressure put on, especially in direct sales, for you to be like, oh, I'm going to be a leader or I'm going to recruit. When it might just be that you are like, I love this jewelry. I like getting a discount on it. And should I have people who want to host an event, I like hanging out with them. And if I make enough money to pay for the van, payment, then I make enough money to do that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like that's one area. But then I also want you to think about, do I want to build a business? If I want to build a business, that there's a lot of working parts of building a business. And
it's why I don't have anyone under me, Jenna. I cannot do it.
It's not that you can't do it. It's just that you might not want to do it.
Lucky I'm still in it. Like, I'm better off working for somebody else. Like you.
But if you know that about yourself.
Yes. Like, I'm not.
Yourself. That's great. That's great. No, seriously. I love that. I don't want to push Gina too much because I know Gina gets stressed out about it. So I love her. All right, Kelly, what about you? Do you have a step for yourself? I know you're in the middle of a lot of the steps. Are you, Michelle R? Do you have any step that you would want to share towards your 10-year? I don't know if they get.
I'm still here. It's just my phone is buggy right now. So
you're okay.
One of my steps right now is we're going to go visit some chicken farms and get some baby chicks soon. So I want to check out their operations and how they do things. Eventually we will need to get a larger size property because right now we just have a 1/4 acre and there's no barn or anything for the venue. So that's kind of a long-term goal. I've actually done a 5-year plan already. And that's, fixing up the house and then finding a property and then working on getting that venue set up.
Right. Yeah, I think looking at like right now you're in the stage of discovering. So kind of looking at what are those different steps right now within the first, if you've done a 5-year plan, then like what are my first steps? I would probably then challenge you if you've done the 5-year is to think what happens after 5 years. And just to have a little bit of a vision in place. So breaking down the steps is super important. Again, the reason we ask ourselves why is so that as we start working on the steps, we can remind ourselves, because there's definitely going to be things within those steps that aren't our favorite things to do. Like for me, it's running the numbers. I don't like looking at the numbers. I don't like feeling like I have to know like what is projected sales, and like I'm the type of person who's always thought of money as like, God will get me what I need. It'll be all right. But I also do believe that there's added stress in that I don't necessarily need to have if I was prepared. And so really thinking about what are those steps and why are you doing those steps, and then completing all those steps in the breakdown. The next thing is the metric, which is the numbers. And so Michelle, this would be the part, and she's giving me the wrinkle nose, and this is where I think about capacity, because we're doing like a 10-year vision. And that to me is actually a little bit easier than when it's a basic project. But in 10 years, how do you foresee your monthly client capacity being?
I don't like numbers. I'm doing my
know.
taxes all day tomorrow. This question stresses me out.
I know it does. It stresses a lot of people out, but I think that it's really important.
If you ask me what I want currently, I can tell you, but I have no idea. I don't know what the market will bear in 10 years. I don't know what added expenses I'm going to have in 10 years. If I don't have rent at a physical place anymore, that would be a huge factor into it. I would hope that within 10 years, I would actually have a huge list of celebrity roster at that point. So what I'm thinking of charging now that would be outrageous would be even higher 10 years from now. And then I would have, like my husband always says, think high. Like we have a friend who Simon Cowell hires him and flies him all over the world to cut his hair. And he charges a minimum of like something stupid, like $5,000 to cut his hair plus travel expenses. And one time he flew him, to Maldives because that's where he was going. And it took him a day to get there, but he put him on a boat, put him up in a house. He flew out the next day. And he probably made like 10 grand or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But
So
my brain doesn't think that way.
Yeah. So maybe think about like, and this is where someone said to me, and I think thinking high is a good thought. You're doing celebrity clients, so it's a little bit, there's a certain difference in what the numbers would be.
And it's so not real life. My life is not real life. Really, it's not. I mean,
your life,
it's not normal.
It's not necessarily the normal life for sure. But I want you to think for yourself that if you made a certain amount in 10 years, what is that amount that you're like, it's either my cap or it's my minimum?
See, I don't think I can put a number on it because I think I am not a numbers girl and I aim way too low.
Even if you aim way too low?
What are you saying, Gina? Are you saying something? This is hard. I hate numbers, yeah.
Even if you aim way too low, even if you put $1 million, Michelle, in 10 years.
But in 10 years, is $1 million even going to be like, is
$1 million more than you have now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's think about that. $1 million is more than you have now. In 10 years, if you made $1 million in 10 years, that would be a lot more than what you have now.
That'd be awesome.
And don't think about it necessarily as like, oh, I'm going to charge this or I'm going to charge that or I'm going to have this number of clients. But if you made $1 million in that year.
That just seems very like beyond dreaming to me. I that's why I never do well in the direct sales because it's like,
Well,
I can't,
and I don't want the number.
unattainable.
So I don't want the metric to be the thing. We're putting it there because numbers have to be there at some point. But this isn't our focus. Remember, in a sprint, our focus is completing the tasks. The only reason the number is there is to kind of align ourselves with like, what is the...
What was the original question? What'd you ask me to give you an answer about?
I asked you to give me the answer, like the measurable amount of how you would know with a number that you got there. So like you're saying that you want to have more celebrity clients more privately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the number in 10 years where you would be like, my capacity a month with celebrities, it's probably going to be very similar to your number now. You just could be charging more in 10 years.
Exactly. So I'd say 1 or 2 a month.
Okay. So if you put 2 a month and then you say to yourself, in 10 years, I want to be at the point of $1 million, that helps you think, now I'm at this stage. In 3 years, I'm going to want to maybe add something to my services, or I'm going to need to create more networks.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you kind of see that, like, the level of work and momentum you need to do year over year to keep going after what you're saying that you want. You don't want to have your brick and mortar building. You want to have celebrity clients, and you want that work to be a little bit a lighter of a load physically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not.
I love you. My head explode. My head hurts. This hurts my head.
I know. This part hurts my head too, ladies. I don't feel bad because, like, I put down.
And we're all daylight savings challenge today, so it hurts even harder.
I'm sorry. I put down that I want in year 10. I want to make $500,000 in 1 year. All right, and so I didn't even go into how many clients does that look like, because that was going to hurt my head too much today. All right. But that could eventually be another day. Like, what does $500,000 look like? How many team members do I have? Do I hire Gina full time? You know, like, do I have someone who's my accountant? Most likely. So it makes you think, okay, I'm going to have like 5 people who work for me. I'm going to have this type of services, you know, like, it kind of makes you look at like the bigger picture, but the load of work, which is really scary when you look at the 10-year thing, because you're not even close to it. But if you want to get to that point, Michelle, where you're like, I'm no longer have this brick and mortar, I am doing about the same number of clients, but I want to be making, in 10 years, I'm going to be making way more. How am I making way more? Why is it worth way more? You know, did I network more and meet more people? And it might help you know more of your steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's like, I don't like the numbers.
It's like, stop.
What about anybody else? Like, anybody else have a number, like whether it's the amount of money you want to make, the number of people you want to have on your team, what you think that looks like? Kim, go ahead.
I wrote down, because we're just poor folk from Missouri. I wrote down $20,000 a month minimum from residual income from my team, so $240,000 a year.
Love it. And you know, that's nothing.
That's low. I mean, that's like my minimum.
That's nothing to sniffle at all. You know, I was on a call like 2 or 3 days ago with another coach, and she said that her and her wife actually have a cap. They both decided they're only ever going to make $250,000 because they don't want to deal with any of the things that happen after they make $500,000 together. So like, they made that decision by looking 10 years out. If we made $1 million, what does that look like? Oh, we don't want to go there. Okay, now what does it look like if we make this? And so don't ever think that whatever number you put out there, it's your number. It's your business, your rules. All right, your home, your life. No one else gets to make those decisions. So Kim, I love that. And I think the thing that you can figure out from knowing like $20,000 a month, because direct sales does do the percentages, you can figure out how many team members do I need to have active? How many team members do I need to have that are recruiting people? And those numbers can come down the road, but starting there gives you something to play off of. What about you, Angie?
Well, I am part of the Math is Hard club that I think Michelle Baus has started.
I love you. This is the thing. I can't even believe that I'm talking about this, guys. Right? It's not even, but I've noticed the difference in me just having this number, the metric piece.
Right.
What it does for me, because I don't focus on the numbers. So what are some numbers that you feel fall in line with what you're doing?
I just have no clue. I mean, I really, and I think that's where I need to spend more time in in seeing what other people charge. And
so I think there might be a way for you to wrap your mind around this. Can I give you a suggestion? How many families do you want to help a year discover their heritage?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That brings it to a whole other place. So, Michelle, that might even be a way that you look at it. How many celebrities do you want them to see their timeless beauty?
Mm-hmm.
How many celebrities do you want them to feel graced by God's presence because you're in their presence? Because I know that matters to you. All right. So your number does not have to be a dollar amount. It does not have to be anything like that. But I think, Angie, if you could say to yourself, well, one of my goals is like in 5 years, I'm going to buy one of those maps. Actually, I'm going to hang it behind here. It's like those scratchy maps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to help at least one woman in every state build her business.
Wow. Yeah.
And learn sales. So in 5 years, I want to have 50 states scratched off. All right. So maybe you need to think about your numbers that way for now.
Okay.
Till you get rolling with knowing like, this is my product. This is how much I charge for it. Right. That sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. I like looking at it that one because it comes from, again, the point of service. And that's where is my whole focus. That's where
definitely. What I don't want us to get in the habit of, though, is not seeing that we are worth making money.
Right. We have value to that service.
Or that we're worth what our skills and talents that we've been given and worked hard for deserve. Because that is definitely a part of this. For some reason, as women, we feel like we're not worthy of those things. And it is a mindset of reminding yourself you are worth what you've been given the skill and talent to provide others as a service. All right.
You're not the greedy one. It's all good. I just couldn't think of a number. You got it. You're good.
Yep. Awesome. Gina.
And really, when I started with Norwex.
Oh, no, Kim.
5 million years ago. But my whole purpose with that was that because we had just gotten a car. And so we had a car payment that we didn't have before. And so that was always if I could just make enough to cover that car payment, so we still have car payment. So that's always another thing that's in the back of my head as well,
Right. And I think you'll get there, but I want you to start with a number that you feel okay writing. And you're going to just get, it gets, I'll just say from experience, it gets easier because I was right there with you ladies. Okay. What about you, Gina? Do you have a number? No? We're going to work on this when you're at work on Wednesday. I think you need to think about the number of, maybe it's the number of hours that you work with me. Good night, guys. My kids are going to bed. Maybe it's like, I want to be able to work up to 40 hours a week with Jenna. That should be one of my goals too. I want to work Gina up to 40 hours a week, right? Be able to hire her full time and pay her benefits and all those things. So, think about it for your marketing area, Gina, because the number does matter to an extent. Kelly or Michelle R., do you guys have any numbers? Your metric, your measurement? How many chickens do you want to have, Michelle?
I want to adopt some chickens from like the big egg farms.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I can't. But I do actually have to go. I'm here. There's a family meeting, so
No
I will catch you
problem.
guys later.
It's recorded, so
All
you
right.
can just catch the end, honey.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Alrighty. Bye.
All right. And so then the last piece after the metric is the measurable. And since this is a 10-year, you would want to make it an 8. 8 is the maximum rating. All right. And the reason that we rate sprints is that we understand it's going to take investment, it's going to take time, it's going to take probably learning new things. So level 8 is the hardest, but the one that takes us the furthest, sprint. So you would want to rate it an 8. But what I'm hoping that you'll spend time doing, even if the measurable thing is scaring you, you don't have to do the measurable right now. I would say try to put 1 or 2 things. But what I would hope you would work on until our next sprint meeting is breaking down your steps, because those are going to be your sprint projects going forward. They're going to be things like Michelle's saying, I want more clients. Well, maybe she needs to go to more networking events. Maybe she needs to, call her friend Kari and they need to go walk the red carpet together more. Like maybe there's things that she can do that are going to put her in those areas that she's going to get to know those people. So maybe that's a sprint. Angie, maybe there's things that are going to come up as you're breaking this down that you're going to be like, okay, that definitely has to happen before I build a website. I need to know what my products are. So I'm going to need to sit and decide, and maybe I need to order some products and test them out. And maybe if I need to make money right now, like I need money to go and make that website or make that car payment, maybe I need to decide on what is the thing that I'm going to offer that is going to give me money. Is it a one-on-one session with people? Is it that I'm selling DNA kits? What is it? So kind of deciding what is that next sprint that you're going to do that is either like a 3-month sprint, a quarterly sprint, or like a month sprint project. Maybe for Kim, it's I need to do recruiting, and that's going to be my focus. She's breaking it down. Kelly has numbers are my weakness. I'll have to think about it. I can overthink sometimes when it comes to numbers. So I'm guessing all of us overthink when it comes to numbers. It's normal. Like I want that to be the thing that's really normal, but sprints have helped me not overthink it. My example that I usually share where I truly realized that it was not about the number, but the number mattered, was I did a sprint at the beginning of last spring where I wanted 500 followers on Instagram. That was what was on my metric. Like I was going to do this campaign, and then by the end of the campaign, I would have 500 followers. That was like the goal, the metric. And I realized I did all the steps. And then when I did all the steps, I was still at like 325. And I was like, man, I did everything. That stinks. Why am I not at 500? But what I realized was that I had to keep doing those steps. All the steps were there. It was just, I was never going to reach 500. The rating of that project did not give me the momentum in 2 weeks to hit 500. It gave me the momentum if I kept consistently doing it to reach 500 by August instead of the end of May. All right. So, Michelle, it might be that you're doing these workshops with these blends and these teas because that's going to give you the momentum to build that bar, that blend bar out or that tea bar out because you're going to be building that client base. So you have to think, how many clients do I want to have that this is what they want, right? That's your number. You might not see that number for 6 months, but the goal wasn't the number. The goal was, I'm doing these steps. I'm honing these steps. I'm looking at my workshop the last week and saying, what could I add, or what didn't go so well, or who could I ask questions of how they felt or what they liked. And that's the point behind it, because you're going towards that number. Does this make sense? I know this is heavy. I see everybody's like, oh, this is heavy. Because it can make you feel like, for me, sometimes I feel like, man, business is supposed to be fun. Business isn't supposed to feel like there's responsibility.
So I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
When we're doing our breakdown, will those actually, each step of a breakdown, turn into like another sprint?
When you're doing something that's like a 10-year like this, most definitely they'll be that big of a step that it'll be a whole other project. I would say once you get down to like a 3-month, they're probably closer to a task, but they might still have steps in it. So like an example of a 3-month, like right now, I'm building out 10 months of content for my social media. That's probably going to take me all month, like every day working 4 hours on that. So each month is another project that I'm breaking down in the steps. Because I know that if I get 10 months of content created, and Gina and I can have that rolling, that by doing this sprint, everything else will be easier. I'll be able to build courses. I'll be able to work more one-on-one with you ladies. I won't be thinking about, oh, this needs to post here, or I need to be making an email blast here, or it'll allow me to then actually go and do the things I want to do, but I'll be actively marketing places. So your sprint projects, you want to think about, like in the one thing, in that book, The One Thing, if by doing this step, does it make everything else easier or no longer necessary? So if Michelle, or like Angie, I'm going to use your DNA kits. If by me selling this DNA kit and making X number of dollars a month off of DNA kits, does that make everything else easier or no longer necessary that I'm currently doing, right? So it could mean, Angie, you got to make a decision of what DNA kit are you going to sell, right? Because you want to be able to make that money so you can keep putting it into your business. Does that help, Kim?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad.
I was just looking at my breakdown and thinking if it's too vague, or.
And I would say, like, when you're first starting it, you are a little vague. Like, I'll be really honest. When I first started doing sprints, it takes practice. That's why I have these meetings set up for accountability for you guys. Is like, as you start doing this, you're going to start realizing, like, wait a second, that task has me going and learning something new. So, like maybe for Michelle, it's like, I want to create a blending bar specifically for women going through menopause. All right.
Oh, I'd buy that.
Kim's like, she'll come. So she wants to create a blending bar specifically for that. But maybe once Michelle breaks down and says, well, I need to do this, she sees, oh, you know what? I don't know enough about that. I need to go and take a course on this, or I need to go and research the oils a little bit more. So then she sees another step that she can't just go automatically and be like, I'm going to go and buy all the stuff. I need to go and take this course, right? So that's going to, basically, as you do your breakdown, you want to just look at them and be like, is there something within this that is another step? All right. If you feel like there's a lot of steps within something, that might be another sprint entirely. Because and this is where it helps you as an entrepreneur, is like, I'm only focusing on one thing every day, except for my little meetings that I have to have, because that's keeping my business rolling, right? But my content is the thing that if I finish 10 months of content and I no longer need to think about content, I can then go and build everything else that I want to build. It moves me closer and closer towards my goal. Does that help? Awesome. That tonight was really heavy, and now no one will show up next week. But I want you to think about these steps, the projects that are within your 10-year, because we don't know what 10 years is going to look like, but there are things we do want to do. And when I thought about the things that I did want to do, I knew that I needed to have some type of direction to get there. So take next week, what we'll do is I want you to pick, what's your number one priority project? Maybe it is recruiting, Kim. Angie, maybe it is that you're like, you know what? I need to have a system for getting Tilly's Tales out, so that is the thing that I'm least thinking about over the next 2 years, so that my time is freed up to do the other things I want to do. You know, Kelly, maybe it's, I need to think about, how am I looking at the state art system, like what the state requires me to teach versus what I want to teach. How am I blending my style in along with the state guidelines of teaching art? And really knowing, what you're doing there. And your numbers, Kelly, it could be like, I'm just thinking this, it could be like you said, how many pieces of your art do you want in a museum in 10 years? That could be one of your numbers. Gina, girl, you and I are just going to work on this. I'm not letting you out of it. Whether it's the G spot or it's that you see just how amazing you are at marketing, and I wouldn't have you on my side if there wasn't a reason. So, like, there definitely are things I think that you can break down. Go for the G. Kiv is like, go for the G spot. And so, like, Michelle, the same way with you. Like, I know how important it is for you to showcase a different world of celebrity. So I think that there are definitely things that projects that you can do that honor these people, to get your name out more and more. So anybody have any other questions about sprints for this week? Anybody feel like they're kind of excited now about what they're doing? Honestly, I want you to be like, when I wrote down my 10-year, when I really got into it, I got excited because there's so many, this is the thing, there's so many reasons why. I don't look at anything else. I just look at all the reasons why.
It seems like it'll help me to hone in more and stay focused on one thing, because I'm kind of all over. I don't know what I want, and it's been a rough couple of years. So to have a positive outlook for the next 10 years is a really good thing.
Definitely. And it doesn't mean that life isn't still going to happen, right? Life is still going to happen. But I think that by doing this, not only do you see like all the reasons why you want to do something, but also in a group environment like this, is that you get the accountability from other women who are going through the same things. So as time goes on, we're going to see like, oh, I worked on this sprint and I didn't hit the number. I'm bummed out. Well, it's not reminding each other. It's not about the number. It's about, did you do all the steps? maybe there was a step missing. Go through your steps with us. Those types of things. So for next week, and Monday nights at 8:30 seem to work. I hope that worked out. And we'll try. I'm going to try to keep them to an hour going forward. I just figured this one would probably go over a little bit. It's going to help you. I want you to come with a project so that we can really start knowing what each other is getting into, so we can support each other and share those things out. Sound good? All right, ladies. Tell me today, we're just going to go through the group. We'll start with Michelle B. What was your high for today? What was the best thing, the one best thing that happened today?
In my day or during this conference, this chat?
During your day.
My little guy who I mentor, my 8-year-old, told me he loved me. He gave me a bracelet.
That's wonderful.
He gave me a bracelet, and we were playing a video game, and he said, I just used 2 boosters on you. You know it's because I love you.
Oh.
And like in the little boy video game world, that's like a big deal. So
that is a big deal. Definitely. I love that. What about you, Kim? One thing that was great today.
My son went and he is getting some help he needs for his medical issues.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's not one for modern medicine. So for him to go and actually talk to somebody and get on some medications is really a good thing. And he sat with me and broke down and cried, which might not sound like a good thing.
Well, but he needed a mama.
Yeah, and okay, he's 24, so for him to sit down and cry with his mom was really, I felt very honored that he would do that. And he reassured us. No, I want to cry. He reassured us that what great parents we've been and how we've raised him with great morals. Aww. And that's the most important thing is we've raised a really good human being. Those were his words. So, okay, I'm going to mute myself.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Kim, for being so vulnerable to share that. I think that was wonderful. It's always, as a mama, we want to be needed. So I love that. Angie, what about you? What was the one best thing that happened for you today?
I went to the dentist and I don't have cavities.
Woohoo! That's awesome. That is a great thing. I was like, when you first started, I was like, you went to the dentist? That was a great thing. I didn't go to the dentist, but
and then also
cavities, awesome.
I did a Facebook Live because I forced myself to do it, even though the timing wasn't the perfect, but I just did it. And so I was proud of myself for just.
I saw it. I just commented on it. I think that's great. Persevering, pushing through.
My dog barking and Caroline eating a snack throughout it and all good stuff. It's life.
All
so,
good.
you know.
All good. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Gina, what about you? Best thing today?
Getting all your stuff scheduled.
That was your best thing today?
Yes, because I actually accomplished something.
I love it. That's why
actually like, hearing that I'm needed by you, like, and wanted, and like I love that feeling.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I want to need Gina. I do need Gina more, but I want to be able to afford Gina more. So that means I have to do more work. Then I'm like, nobody can know Gina because Gina is mine. You cannot have her. So, well, I'm glad. Yeah, we're working hard over here. You ladies, wait till you see what all we have planned. Good stuff. Kelly, what about you? What was your best thing today? If you want to put it over in the comments, I'll share mine. Oh, Kelly's here. Okay. My high, woke up feeling better. I've been fighting a horrible sinus infection. I was finally able to breathe today. Oh, everybody around here, Kelly. I'm glad you're feeling better. My son actually was home from school today because he has the same thing. Mine today would basically be that I was just really on task. I just really felt good. All the comments about daylight savings times, like, everybody was like angry and upset at daylight savings times. I was like, this was great. Like, take back that hour. I just got up this morning. Last week and this weekend was really difficult for me. There's been some things with Isabella, some things with my husband and I, like just our house like has felt like kind of under attack. Aunt Flo knocked on the door. She was here all through that, you know. And so this weekend was really difficult. But last night I was just like, you know what, I'm going to get up tomorrow and things are going to be better. And you know what? I woke up, did my gratitude, and things were better today. And that's why I think, because I sat and did my sprint and looked at like, these are things I want to do, and there's reasons why I want to do them. Why am I second guessing myself about it? Doing sprints for me has made me excited about the start of my week. No matter what is going on, it just makes me excited because I'm like, I have something to look forward to, even if it doesn't turn out the way that I thought. Because if I'm working hard at it and I love it, it'll be good. So I want that for all of you ladies too. So thanks for joining me tonight, going over a little bit. I appreciate it. And then Friday at 2:30, we're going to do the strategy hour. So have something for your social media. All right. Think about what you're doing with your social media so we can share feedback and ideas and resources. I hope everybody saw the fun new thing in Facebook groups. Kim was there with me. There's a new little Michelle's all up.
What is that?
It's basically, you can go in and like, say you have pre-recorded videos. So like your dancing videos. Say you have your dancing videos and you can put your dancing videos in a queue, and then you hit host this party, right? And it basically goes live on your page, but it's not live videos.
Where'd
It's
you
recorded videos.
Where'd you find it?
It's only in the Intentional Influencer Club group. So I went into all my groups. The only one that has it is my Intentional Influencers Club. I asked my team, and it looks like any groups that were created in the past 3 months got it to test it out. But I'm thinking about like, so Angie, like if there were like different videos to share, maybe the different DNA tests, and you wanted people to watch them to help you decide which one were you going to do. Watch party, yes. Thank you for saying what the name of it is, Kelly, because I couldn't think of it.
Once it's over, you can't see it, right?
Once it's over, you can't see it. Not yet. I'm wondering if that's going to change, because I thought that was weird that you guys couldn't get in and go and see it afterwards. Yeah, awesome for new products, especially in direct sales. Like when your company comes out with new videos, I think that it would be great for those types of things. I was trying to think of other things that you could do. Michelle, what if you did like blends, like your different blends that you'd be doing? If you were showing like how to do a blend and you did kind of like the cooking videos, if you had like 3 different ones and we're showing them in a live video, people could, and then you could have the link to like purchase the different.
But it's not a live video.
You record the videos, put them in the queue, and then you go live.
And it just plays the videos in the queue for a period of time?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I need to.
It was interesting.
Think about it. I think my brain's still hurting from the numbers.
Yeah, your brain's still hurting for the numbers. I'm sorry. It was different.
I'm not understanding this. I'm sorry.
It was different. And like I said, it's not everywhere. And I went and read about it then. Like, it's just like a test. I guess Zucky's like testing it out to see if it like actually catches on within groups. But I could see that if you like recorded a training or you wanted to do, I'm trying to think, like in Kelly's, like if Kelly was showing an art technique and she wanted to record the art technique first and then she wanted to go live, so that way like the structure is there. Or like my workshop that I'm doing. I could have that already pre-recorded and then just be there answering comments instead of engaging. I don't know. It's different. So yeah, your flowers, like doing a floral design. You could do recorded video, then put it in the queue. I don't know. I think that there's going to be a lot of different ways that you could use it, but it was interesting. I figured I'd give it a try when I saw it, but I only had one group that had it. So, all right, ladies, I'm going to let you go since it's 10 o'clock my time and I just got the alert to go and meditate. So, and I'm sticking to my tasks. All right. Love you. Have a good night. Thanks so much for coming.